This is Premier Talk.
And the club era at the Cup starts at White Hart Lane in the lunchtime fixture Saturday, and Big Sam makes his Sunderland managerial debut with a trip to the Hawthorns. Coming up, all the previews with Deji Tinubu and the game changers with Bode Bruno. My name is Deji Omotoyinbo. We kick off with Tony Ajulu on Premier News.
By the emotional point of view.
Thank you, Deji. We begin the news at Chelsea, where manager Jose Mourinho has revealed that he intends to appeal his £50,000 fine and stadium ban imposed by the FA. Mourinho incurred the punishment after he suggested that referees were afraid to give Chelsea decisions following their 3-1 home loss to Southampton. This is the seventh time in 10 years the 58-year-old has been fined, with the punishment totaling £181,000. The Portuguese described this latest fine and stadium ban as a disgrace. Over at Aston Villa, manager Tim Sherwood has expressed confidence that he will win over the club supporters despite increasing speculation about his future. Sherwood joined the club in February and led them to the FA Cup final along with Premier League survival. However, a poor start to the season has seen them with just one win in their first 8 Premier League games, leaving them 18th on the standings on 4 points. The former Tottenham boss also denied speculation that he was disappointed with the club's summer activity, insisting that he is 100% certain that the West Midlands outfit will be in the top flight next season. And finally, the Premier League player and manager of the month of September have been announced. Manchester United wonderkid Anthony Martial was named player of the month following an impressive start to life at Old Trafford, which has seen the striker net 4 goals for United. The manager of the month award went to Tottenham Hotspur boss Mauricio Pochettino. The Argentine has lost just one of his 8 Premier League games so far, claiming 3 consecutive wins in the month of September, including the impressive 4-1 victory at home to league leaders Manchester City. And that's the news.
So let me just run through all the fixtures for this weekend for you before they steps in with the preview. On Saturday, lunchtime kickoff, Tottenham host Liverpool. That will be Jurgen Klopp's first game in charge of Liverpool. 3 o'clock, we have 6 matches. Chelsea hosting Aston Villa. It's Crystal Palace against West Ham in the London Derby. Everton play Manchester United at Goodison Park. Man City, league leaders, host Bournemouth. It's Southampton against Leicester, and West Brom playing Sunderland. All those matches are 3 o'clock on Saturday. And at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday is Watford against second place Arsenal. And only one game on Sunday. Newcastle, struggling at the foot of the table, play Norwich City. That's at 4 p.m. on Sunday. And on Monday, Swansea against Stoke City. We'll talk about that on Monday, of course. All right, DG. Where else to stop but at the Lane? Spurs against Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp's first game in charge is certainly produced a buzz on the whole place. So let's see what he's got in stock.
This is going to be very, very interesting, DG. Look at Spurs' record against Liverpool. Lost the last 5 with the goal aggregate of 11-4. They look much better this time, tighter in defence, joint best in the Premiership. 3 conceded in the last 5 with 3 shutouts. I think the key, DG, in this one is that the flair players are doing much more work on and off the ball, and of course Dyer, who's missing for this one, have been very good in front of the defence. Liverpool conceded in all their last 5, so Klopp would have taken notice of this, but what we'll know, what we'll see is a more intense Liverpool play, more freedom of expression, more urgency in the play, new spirit. And I think for Klopp is the kind of manager that recognises a player's favoured position. So what we're going to see is Coutinho behind Sturridge, and then Lallana and Milner flanking Coutinho. So it's going to be, I think, it's not going to be one of those ones where Liverpool will get much joy against Spurs, but I think it's going to be tight. But I think the key thing, Deji, is just to wait and watch and see what Klopp's Liverpool will play like. For City, without Aguero and Silva, but that's cushioned by the return of Kompany. But I think De Bruyne will be too smart for a depleted Bournemouth team. They'll give the fair share. Deji, in Andrew Sherman, you've got somebody who, in terms, it gives them stability. 4th in the league so far in percentage of successful passes and 2nd in the distance covered. Richie is up there in the number of miles covered during a game, so they'll give City something to think about. But did you know that the wide players who are going to come in, Navas and Sterling, I think they'll enjoy themselves, and Bruin will set up a couple for Bonnie. The London Derby, Palace West Ham. Palace defence looks like they can cope with West Ham's attack. The West Ham's attack, they'll still score, but the problem for them is like they concede goals that they shouldn't. Whereas Palace have shut out the opposition in the last two. But for me, I think West Ham going forward a little bit more subtle and probably more intelligent than the Palace side, but Palace are much more rugged, and I think they'll find a way of coping with Payet. So I'll go for Palace to edge this one. Southampton and Leicester. Southampton are like Arsenal, where they'll pick you up and take you out when you give them the opportunity. We know Leicester give teams that opportunity. They'll need to tighten up against Southampton. I'm going to go for Southampton being a little bit more organised, and they've got a little bit more tact than Leicester. But it's not going to be easy. In Mahrez and Vardy, you've got players who will take the game to Southampton, who will worry Southampton. But all in all, I think Southampton a lot more rounded. Everton, they won the last 3 at home to Manchester United without conceding. But in Martial and Mata, the kind of play they've been doing the last couple of games, I think they'll score against Everton. But I'll still take Everton to beat Manchester United, because in Barkley, Lukaku and Naismith, they've got a lot of urgency and intent in that play. United haven't found that out recently. What I would do if I was United's manager, Smalling and Jones in the middle to cope with what Everton will bring to them. But we know LVG has his own philosophy.
We have to wait and see about that. Certainly, that's one fixture that's given United a lot of trouble in the past few years. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with preview part 2. Welcome back to Premier Talk. Premier Preview Part 2 now. The Snooble continues as we go to Watford playing Arsenal.
It's going to be a tricky one for Arsenal. Barami returns to partner Capoue in they're going to restore what is one of the best defensive midfield partnerships in the Premiership. I think those two are going to battle Arsenal to a standstill. Arsenal will require a healthy dose of the mentality they've shown in the last couple of matches, and I think a little bit far more intelligence, because they're not going to find the spaces that the teams that played in the last two afforded them. But we're still going to expect Cazorla from deep and Ozil up front to carve out the openings, and we hope that Walcott takes them. But Watford's brief, DG, will be just to stop Arsenal. We don't need to win, just stop Arsenal. And is that they look the kind of team that could give Arsenal a lot of trouble. But I still think Arsenal just a little bit more classy, a little bit more intelligent, with Sanchez hopefully playing. They might just edge this. West Brom, Sunderland, they're going to be hard to beat now. Sam Allardyce will bring in his workers and the grafters over the flair players in the next couple of games. And what we're expecting, DG, now is that maybe Brown and O'Shea centre back positions, and then you've got in Villa and Catamol in front of them, and of course up front, I don't think, from what the manager has been saying, I don't think the four will start. I think more it will be like Fletcher. So we're looking at Sunderland to get the point from a West Brom side. They can still matches, but haven't convinced that they'll be consistent. Villa, they go to Chelsea. Now Villa are going to offer Chelsea everything that Chelsea haven't gotten in the last couple of matches, but it's going to be very interesting to see what Willian does. It's going to get more space. I suspect that Gueye will be deployed to pick up Fabregas, but William will be the danger man here. For Villa, Amavi has been the best player. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does against Pedro. And luckily for Chelsea, Ivanovic, or rather Mourinho, has got an excuse to drop Ivanovic. That's going to be a plus for Chelsea. But Hazard, Hutton, like I said, Pedro, Amavi, going to be very interesting. Diego Costa is back. He says he's lean. We'll see if he's mean as well. But I'm going to go for Chelsea easily. Newcastle, they should get this one over Norwich. Norwich conceded a lot of goals. Newcastle haven't got the rub of the green, but the Mitrovic, Perez, Sissoko and Wijnaldum, they should be caned, Deji, if they don't get this result. Forget about all the horrendous injuries and doubts, but those four against Norwich, they should be caned if they don't get a result.
Well, there you go, the preview of all 9 matches this weekend. Of course, I told you the 10th match will be on Monday. We'll talk about that on Monday. Thank you very much, Deji. Let's take a look at the game changers, and Bode Bruno has that for us.
Yes, MDG, this weekend I've picked 2 players. One is Romelu Lukaku of Everton. A section of fans have tagged him lazy and ponderous. And this season he's proved everyone wrong. And we can't take anything from the confidence he displays each time he plays Manchester United. While on loan at West Brom, he became one of the few players to score a hat-trick against the Red Devils. And while last season he was a handful for the Manchester United defence in a game where he actually got a goal and an assist. Also, when we look at this season, the central defence pairing of Chris Smalling and Dele Blind have been quite suspect, and you feel Lukaku would once again, the Manchester United defence, run for their money. 5 league goals already this season and 2 assists. You would expect him to be a game changer for Everton, and I'm expecting him to get a goal once again when the two sides play on Saturday. The second player I'll be looking at today is Arsenal's Theo Walcott. He's finally showing the world how well he's matured into the top striker's position. 3 goals already this season. And with Alexis Sanchez being rested against Watford, you expect the Arsenal team to play through Walcott due to his pace, and of course he has an eye for goal. So I'm expecting Romelu Lukaku and Theo Walcott to be the game changers this weekend.
Well, certainly those 2 defenses, Manchester United and Watford, will not be looking forward to playing those 2. Thank you very much, buddy. And that's our show. Let's deal with Premier starts ahead of the weekend. Tottenham's last 5 Premier League home defeats have all been by 1 goal margin. The last team to win by more than that at White Hart Lane was Liverpool, 3-0 in 2014. Romelu Lukaku is only one of 4 players to score a Premier League hat-trick against Manchester United. The others are David Bentley, De Kuyt and Samuel Eto'o. Watford have never won a Premier League game in the month of October. Everton have won 3 consecutive home games against Manchester United, giving a clean sheet in each victory. And finally, 12 of the 23 teams that have been 16th after 8 games, as Chelsea are now, have been relegated, while no team has finished higher than 5th from that position at this stage of the season. We shall see. My name is Deji Omotoye, but that's a wrap on Premier Talk for the week. Many thanks for joining us. We'll be back on Monday to give you the rundown of what went down